let's move into how to get a deal before ever having a lead gen setup. Now, I want to put a big asterisk by this. I believe many of us, and this kind of goes to that whole idea of a problem of funding your business monetarily, money. I think a lot of us struggle with this idea of selling something before it exists. I think people, especially if you haven't been in the realm of sales in the past, or you haven't sold stuff in the past, this is more of a difficult concept to wrap your head around. Now, if you're someone that's been in sales a long time, I remember kind of my early days when we were selling big rig motorhomes, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 motorhomes. And a lot of it was projecting the story of what life was going to be like when they got on the road full time, right? Oh my gosh, can you imagine what it's going to be like when you can pull up to Lake Mead or whatever and park that thing out there for a few days and go and, do whatever the heck you want and it's yours and blah, 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 right? The sunrise, this, that, painting this picture of something that didn't even exist yet. They're just getting in the mindset of buying a motorhome, but we were yet painting this picture of what it might look like, right? For some of us, that's very difficult if you've never been in that space or if you've never been trained to kind of talk out into the future, right? Well, with business owners, it's no different, right? You have to be able to have a compelling enough story for someone to want to work with you. So the way we make so many people successful in this group is just by simply saying, look, I'm not going to make you the greatest salesperson if you're not that. I'm going to let you lead with results in advance. I'm going to have you build out your first lead gen property. It's going to generate leads. It's going to then build confidence. And then you're going to give those leads over to the business owner for free. And that in turn is going to do the heavy lifting for you, because now you don't have to say, oh, how would it be to park that motorhome at Lake Mead and how it's going to be this great, amazing time in your life. And like, you basically took them to the lake, you parked them there, and you're like, how do you like it being at this lake? Like, you've actually proven the result that you're talking about, in the future in the other scenario, right? So it's a lot easier as the coach, as the guy that's training you guys to be successful in this business, to just teach you how to get results in advance, because I know the results are doing the heavy lifting for you. It's like I said, the equivalent of you going and putting these people in a motorhome and putting them on a trip without them ever buying it and getting and feeling the result of ownership, right? Much, much, much easier. Now, for some of you guys, you build your first one, you get your first lead gen property up. Maybe you get a client for it right away. Maybe you don't. Everyone's a little bit different, and every scenario is a little bit different. There's variables in every business, as we all know. I get the question all the time of, how do I land a client if I don't have a lead gen property? Well, number one, okay, you got to be asking and be able to tell a story to someone that's compelling enough so they could see the potential future of what you're talking about in vivid pictures. Okay, vivid, like they can feel it, they can smell it, they can touch it, that has to be able to be part of your skill. Okay, if that's not a part of your skill, I would highly recommend role playing that with some other people in the group after I kind of give you the explanation of how I landed this deal yesterday. Okay, in the situation I was in, we have this tree at my house. I don't know if I mentioned this the other day, but I think I wrote it to someone. We have this tree at my house that was kind of overgrown, and it was getting into the gutter of our gutters, of course. And it was then when it rained and it was overflowing, it was causing a big mess. And so I told Tori, I said, let's get someone out here, but let's use this as a chance to get a new client. Right? So I said, instead of going to Google, why don't we go over to Thumbtack, exactly like I tell you guys all the time, and let's find someone that's already sold on the skill set that I have. They're already sold on buying leads, right? And let's then, when they get here, then we'll take them through what we call the license to pitch, right? And so that's exactly how it went down. The gentleman that came up, he's a tree care guy, bought him off of Thumbtack. And I actually wasn't involved with the bidding process of it, right? Or the filling it out. So I didn't know he was coming. I just walked out the door and he was there. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Tori did what we had talked about. So I'm gonna take it over from here and talk with this guy. So we start chatting it up and he's like, oh man, this is cool. What do you do? And we start getting into it, right? I'm like, oh, I do lead generation for small businesses. He's like, well, what do you mean by that? What kind of businesses? I'm like, businesses like yours all over the world. We not only do it, but we also train people, entrepreneurs all over the world to do it as well. And he's like, man, he goes, I buy leads. And I go, oh, you do? Duh. I kind of knew that, right? It's like playing with a 4 aces, right? I already kind of know where this is going.